Picture this: a mother's desperate scream as her son vanishes into a crowd of soldiers, swallowed by a war that claimed over 100,000 lives. In Bosnia's darkest hour, two men pulled the strings: Radovan Karadžić and Ratko Mladić, mastermind or monster. Who truly held the deadlier hand? Stick with us to find out. Before we move on to the next part, please give me a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for listening. Imagine a mother in Srebrenica, July 1995. She's clutching her son's hand, whispering promises of safety as UN peacekeepers stand nearby. Hours later, she's alone. Her boy, just 14, dragged away with thousands of others, never to return. Over 8,000 men and boys were slaughtered in a matter of days, their bodies dumped into mass graves. This is no fiction. It's the brutal reality of the Bosnian War, a conflict that tore apart Yugoslavia from 1992 to 1995. And behind this nightmare stand two men, Radovan Karadžić and Ratko Mladić. Who were they, and how did they come to shape one of history's darkest chapters? Let's step back and find out. The Bosnian War erupted when Yugoslavia fractured, pitting ethnic groups, Bosniaks, Serbs, and Croats, against each other in a struggle for power and land. By 1992, Bosnia and Herzegovina was a battlefield with over 100,000 lives lost before peace came. Amid this chaos, the Bosnian Serbs, backed by Serbia, sought to carve out their own state, Republika Srpska. Leading this vision was Radovan Karadžić, a psychiatrist and poet turned politician, born in 1945 in Montenegro. A man of words, he rose to become the first president of this self-declared entity. Beside him stood Ratko Mladić, born in 1942 in Bosnia, a soldier forged by war from childhood after losing his father in World War II. As commander of the Republika Srpska army, he turned plans into action. These two men didn't just stumble into history, they seized it, leaving scars that still linger. But what drove them? How did a healer of minds and a hardened general become architects of such horror? That's where our story begins to unravel, pulling us deeper into the minds and methods of Karadžić and Mladić. Now that we've stepped into the chaos of the Bosnian War and met Radovan Karadžić and Ratko Mladić, let's peel back the layers. How did these men turn their roles into tools of destruction? What drove them to commit acts that still echo in the survivors' nightmares? This isn't just about what they did, but how they did it, and why. Karadžić operated from the shadows of power. As president of Republika Srpska, he didn't fire a single shot, yet his words were lethal. He issued directives, like Directive 7 in March 1995, ordering the army to create an unbearable situation for civilians in Srebrenica. That command alone set the stage for the massacre of over 8,000 Bosniak men and boys. His method was strategic: speeches that fueled ethnic hatred, policies that justified expulsion. In Prijedor, for instance, his orders led to the deaths of 3,173 people, mostly Bosniaks, across camps like Omarska and Karadzic. A psychiatrist by training, he knew how to manipulate fear and loyalty, crafting a vision of a pure Serb state. Mladić, though, was the fist to Karadžić's mind. As army commander, he thrived on the front lines. On July 11, 1995, he strode into Srebrenica, promising safety on camera while his troops rounded up victims. Within days, 8,372 were dead, executed under his direct oversight, according to icty records. His tactics were hands-on. Artillery barrages on Sarajevo killed 11,541 civilians, over 1,425 days of siege. Unlike Karadžić's calculated distance, Mladić relished control, once boasting to his men, "This is our time." His military precision turned plans into mass graves. What fueled them? For Karadžić, it was ideology and ambition. He saw himself as a savior of the Serbs, a poet rewriting history with blood, driven by a narcissistic belief in his own destiny. Mladić's fire came from a different place, rage and loyalty. Scarred by his father's death in 1945, he viewed Bosniaks as enemies to be crushed, his motive rooted in personal vendetta more than grand ideals. Together, they formed a deadly partnership. One shaped the intent, the other executed it. But whose hand weighed heavier in this tragedy? That's the question we'll wrestle with next. We've uncovered the methods and minds of Radovan Karadžić and Ratko Mladić, their calculated plans, their unrelenting execution. But now comes the hardest question. Who was the greater danger? To answer, we need to weigh the scale of their impact, look beyond Bosnia to other figures of their time, and ask what their legacy warns us about today. Karadžić's danger lay in his ability to orchestrate horror from afar. His policies drove the ethnic cleansing of 2.2 million people, half of Bosnia's population, displaced by 1995, according to UN reports. He authorized 837 massacres across Bosnia, icty records show, from Foča's brutal camps to Zvornik's killing fields. As a leader, his vision infected a movement, convincing thousands that violence was their salvation. Prosecutor Serge Bramertz, who pursued him, said, "Karadžić's power was in making genocide seem inevitable." Without his orders, the war might have lacked its systematic cruelty, yet his distance from the bloodshed let him claim innocence, a shield that prolonged his 13 years on the run until his 2008 arrest. Mladić, by contrast, was danger incarnate, visible, immediate. He personally oversaw the execution of 7,000 prisoners in Srebrenica over 3 days, icty testimony confirms, and his artillery killed 1,398 children in Sarajevo's siege. His presence terrified victims. Survivors recall his voice barking orders as families were torn apart. Historian Robert Donia called him a force of chaos no subordinate could restrain. But his scope was narrower. Without Karadžić's framework, Mladić might have been just another brutal soldier, not a war criminal caught in 2011. How do they compare to others? Slobodan Milošević, Serbia's president, fueled the broader Yugoslav wars, but died in 2006 before a verdict. Vojislav Šešelj, a propagandist, was acquitted of most charges. Karadžić and Mladić, both sentenced to life in 2019 and 2021, stand out for their direct roles, mastermind and enforcer. Neither was more dangerous alone. Together, they were catastrophic, their 11 combined icty convictions proving it. Their lesson endures. Unchecked power and blind loyalty breed ruin. As we remember Bosnia's scars, we're left wondering, could such a pair rise again? And so, the scars of Bosnia linger, a testament to what happens when ambition and vengeance collide. Karadžić and Mladić weren't just men. They were a warning etched in blood. Together, they turned a nation into a graveyard, proving that evil thrives when power goes unchecked. But here's the question to chew on. Could a duo like them rise again in our world today, or have we learned enough to stop it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If this journey gripped you, hit that like button and subscribe. We've got more stories to unravel. Until next time, keep questioning history